Today, we have a story time of a kid who almost gets murked because he likes Riggy the Rabbit. This is one of the craziest stories I've ever received, so sit back, relax, subscribe to the channel if you are new and like stories. Leave a like on the video right now to claim your free nothing. With that being said, let's just jump right into the story. So we're going to call the subscriber who submitted this story James. So anyways, this all happened one day, one Friday night, when James was going to a sleepover. So James was new to the school, or he just transferred schools, so he didn't really have a lot of friends. So when he got the message, or the word, or the invite from Ben, a kid in his class, that he's talked to a couple of times, also we're going to call a guy Ben, he was really excited, because Ben had invited him to a sleepover. So James was kind of struggling making friends at first, and I don't know, it felt like a pretty big turning point for him that he was getting invited over to a sleepover. That just felt really big, so he was pretty excited about that. Little did he know that it was about to be one of the craziest sleepovers in the worst way possible of his entire life. But in the moment, he was really excited because, I mean, hey man, like, things might be turning around for him. So anyways, James's mom is driving him over to Ben's house. And Ben doesn't live that far away. And it's really good that James was kind of paying attention to what part of the neighborhood or where Ben was staying for later on in the video when he literally needs to escape for his life, which is insane. But James was like kind of just paying attention because he was curious where his new potential friend Ben lived in comparison to him. So Ben lived far enough away that they weren't like neighbors or you could just walk down the street. But thankfully, Ben didn't live so far away that James couldn't make it back to his house. So anyways, James's mom eventually drops him off at Ben's doorstep. And Ben's mom opens the door and she's like, I heard, James, right? Ben's so excited for you to come. If you go in the, go through the house and go through the back, you can drop off your stuff on the couch, and you can go through the back door to go in the backyard. Ben and all the other boys are back there playing right now, so just go out and join them. So this wasn't like a one-on-one sleepover. This was like a multiple friend sleepover type thing. There was Ben and there was a couple other kids in the class that James knew about, and he didn't really know them that well. If anything, he knew Ben the best. And it was kind of strange, he didn't even know Ben that well. He just kind of made an effort to talk to him a few times. And I think maybe Ben, or at least it was perceived to be, that Ben was just trying to be nice, knew that James was the new kid, and decided to invite him over. Kind of a nice thing to do, at least it seems like that. Anyways, though, so eventually, he goes in the house, drops his stuff off, and goes to the backyard, where Ben and a bunch of the other guys were just kind of chilling in their backyard. So the backyard was connected to this massive forest, this big kind of I guess it wasn't the biggest thing ever. It wasn't some big forest that would lead into a national park or something, but it was a big enough forest that it wasn't just a cluster of trees in the back of their yard. So sure enough, James goes back there, says hello to all the guys, kind of intros himself to a few of the new guys that he doesn't recognize, and they're kind of just chilling for a little bit. Anyways, eventually they go back inside and they go up to Ben's room. Some of the other guys kind of whipped out some of their electronics, some of their iPads, their iPhones. They were kind of just taking a little bit of a break before they went back out there. And so anyways, during this break, James takes out his phone and he starts watching some YouTube videos that he had saved. So one of the YouTube videos that he had saved and wanted to watch, and I don't know, if I'm with my friends at a sleepover, I'm not really finding myself watching YouTube videos, but also who cares, man? You guys can do what you want to do. So anyways, he whips out a video of one of the Danno Cal Drawings animation videos of Riggy the Rabbit. I know a lot of you guys know who that is. Very popular and successful cartoon series on the internet, and there's a lot of things like Shorts Wars, I don't know, a lot of stuff. Anyways, though, so it looks like Ben takes notice of this. Ben looks over, and James kind of notices this, but doesn't say anything. Ben looks over, and looks down, sees that James is watching Riggy the Rabbit, and then Ben starts looking at the other people in the room, kind of giving them these side-eye looks of disapproval, or not even disapproval, but giving them a look to look at what James is looking at. So at this point, Ben is hey bud, what are you watching there? And James is I'm watching Riggy the Rabbit's a cartoon. And Ben is that's cool and all, but, you know, we don't allow people to watch that video in our household. And James is kind of like, what? Like, I'm kind of confused. And he kind of jokingly kind of laughed a little bit because that sounds like an extreme reaction to nothing, basically. I mean, this was nothing, like, let's be real. And but Ben had a very serious expression. He's like, don't watch that video. And James is like, okay. Because remember, he's new at this house. He doesn't know any of the rules. He doesn't know anyone. Turns off the video, just kind of goes off of his phone. And then Ben and all the other guys start acting like nothing's wrong. They start talking, chilling, back to what it was before. But a little while later, James notices that Ben goes to the bathroom, and this is audio, so you guys can't see the little finger air quotes I'm putting up right now, but he quote-unquote goes to the bathroom, and I just did the quotes again, where Ben goes to the bathroom, right? And then all the other two guys leave the room as well, without even announcing why. It seemed as if they were kind of having a secret meeting, and James wasn't about to go spy on them. At this moment, James kind of thought, well, I'm the new guy here. They all know each other. Maybe they're just taking a second to, like, talk to themselves. Like, I really hope it's good, but even if it's, like, not positive because they got really mad at me for watching that animation video, which makes no sense to me, but I'm sure I can bounce back. And I know the worst thing I could possibly do would be to go and spy on them. So, unfortunately, James has no idea what they were talking about. However, as you guys will listen, it gets really weird and really bad and scary. So if anything, it probably would have been best if James went and listened on them because he probably could have avoided a bit of this. But either way, yeah, with that being said, eventually they come back and they're like, hey, let's go into the woods. This is the beginning of where things start to turn bad. Yeah, just so you guys know, I have a Discord server. If you weren't already aware, it is new. In the description of the video, it is kind of like an inner circle. That's the name of it. So really only join it if you are a fan of the channel, not like a casual viewer who watches once or doesn't really watch at all. Really just join it if you're a fan of the channel. I'm trying to interact with you guys and also have a place to give you guys announcements. So that's in the description. Anyways, so they're walking into the forest. And James just has this uneasy feeling. Like he just feels as if something is wrong. It's not really, he can't explain it. It's not tangible, but he can feel something almost like in the air, in the energy. I'm not a big like voodoo energy type person. Like, oh, the energy in the air is saying this and that. So then, now I'm not really that type of person. However, I will say, there definitely are some situations where like the energy in the air, like being like, oh, something's wrong. I've said this before in many stories, and if you've watched enough of my stories, you've probably heard this ramble before, but I'll keep it quick for those guys. We've developed over thousands of years to kind of have these natural instincts. We've also developed to understand social cues, even if they're not super apparent, super on top, even if they're kind of hidden or subdued. We've learned to understand social cues to keep us alive. And sometimes your instincts will be able to pull from something that you're not conscious about, but your subconscious picked up on it. So sometimes you want to act on your instincts. This was a situation where James felt like something was kind of weird. So they're walking into the woods. And one thing James notices that Ben and all the other guys brought backpacks with them, which was kind of strange. I mean, they were just going for like a hike or a chill or whatever. Or at least that's what Ben very quickly told James, because James is like, oh, what are we going to do? Like, where are we going? And he's like, oh, we're just going to like go for a hike or to chill. So it didn't make a ton of sense that they all brought backpacks. Yeah, I could totally see if like, I don't know, Ben brought a backpack or one of them brought a backpack to carry waters or something like that. But I don't know, it just felt a little bit weird, but nothing too much for James to actually be that sketched out. The only thing that was weird was that they were traveling far into the woods. Thankfully for James, he kind of knew like the size of the woods. He really knew the area really well. He spent a lot of his childhood kind of just like exploring and traversing the land. So he understands the land pretty well, which is good for him. I mean, that's going to be very useful later on in this story, understanding his local geography extremely well. Going to be very important, to say the least. Anyways, so they keep walking, and James notices that the sunset's kind of going down. So he kind of makes a little reference to Ben. He's like, yo, dude, like, when do you think we're going back? It's like starting to get a little dark. And Ben's like, oh, don't worry about me. I'm taking us on a path that'll kind of like loop around and lead us back. However, this is where James knew that was just not the case. Because as I said earlier, James knew his kind of like he understood his local geography really well. And he understood it well enough to understand that was just not a true statement at all. That was a straight up false statement. It just wasn't real. I don't know how else to say it. It just was not true. He was leading them a straight path away from the house. But James really just kind of gave it like benefit of the doubt that like Ben thought he was doing that, but Ben was just wrong. And James really wasn't going to try and come off as actually, I know your woods better than you know your woods. And FYI, you're wrong, buddy. Like, you're actually leading us in the wrong. He didn't want to be that actually kid who kind of like the nerd emoji. However, as you guys can probably tell, and especially by the title of the video, James was on to something. So anyways, it starts to actually get dark. The sun is about to set and slip below the horizon, and James just knows that they're the farthest away from the house that they've ever been. So James is like, Ben, he's like, yo, dude, like, not trying to be that guy, but you might have made a wrong turn because I know the geography of this place really well, and we are currently the farthest we've been away from the house. Like, we're really far, like, we should just turn around now. So Ben and all of like the other two, not going to give them names, not necessary. It's like they all stop at the same time. It's kind of creepy. And, James is kind of like, looks at them. He's like, yo, what's up? And they all like reach for their backpacks and they all take their backpacks off, almost like synchronized taking off their backpacks. So at this point, he's like, guys, like, what's good, boys? Like, what's going on? And they all reach in their backpacks and they all take out these metal pipes. And this is when James is like, whoa, what's going on, boys? What is going on? So anyways, James is looking at Ben and the other two, and they all have these metal pipes. And they're just staring at him. And they're staring him down. And they start moving towards him. So James starts backing up, like walking backwards. He's like, hey, like, what are you guys doing with that? What are you guys doing? And that's what James has had an instinct to just begin to run. And as he's about to turn, he sees Ben start like almost running towards him, lifting the pipe up, about to strike. So if James was patient, or not patient, but didn't jump on that instinct, there was a chance that Ben would have caught him off guard and got him with a clean swipe of the pipe, which, bro, you might be thinking like, oh, like a little plastic pipe, who cares? No, dog, we're talking about a metal pipe right now. Yeah. So anyways, James is on the sprint. He's got the survival, flight, or basically fight or flight, but he's 100% maxed out flight at this point. Well, at the end of the day, a 3v1 where the three have metal poles and you got Jack, like, okay, bro, I'm not taking that fight either. But anyways, James is running, and he's running fast. Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, I want you to comment down below woods, WOODS. That'll be the secret word of the day. I'm going to try and give out as many hearts as possible, but if you want the greatest chance of getting a heart, I want you to comment woods 3 separate times. So I want you to leave 3 different comments that each say woods. Greater chance I'll see the comment. And if you want a guaranteed reply, because I try and reply to a few comments, but I'm really focused just on giving out hearts and then going back to making videos. But if you want a guaranteed reply, if you leave your comment as a super thanks, which means you go to there's a little heart with a $sign, and you leave $1, $2, or $3 with a heart, I filter by those, and I reply to each and every single one of those with a full-on big description response. So if you want a good response, that is a guaranteed way. And super quickly, if you go in the description of this video, either on YouTube or if you're listening on Spotify, there are a couple links super quickly. Spotify, if you're on YouTube, I also post these on Spotify. So if you use Spotify, make sure you follow me in there and rate me 5 stars. And the next one is Cameo. And for the month of January and maybe through February, I've reduced my prices on Cameo by 50%. So this is a really good time if you wanted a personalized video from me to scoop one up before the prices go back up in February or March. And also, if you're interested in YouTube because you just enjoy YouTube, or you're interested in making money on YouTube, the link below that is a how to grow on YouTube. I built a course that everything I've learned over the last 7 years and 2,000 videos and 150 million views, everything I've learned, I've condensed down to 5 hours. And below that is the Discord link, which I told you about before. Join it. Really just inner circle people, so only if you're really a fan. And finally, submit stories to my Instagram at connorpugs. Follow me there and then message me your story. And let's get back to this one because this is a crazy one. Anyways, so James is sprinting and he's being chased by Ben and the other two with metal pipes. Not an ideal situation because also it was getting dark before, but now it's basically dark. It's basically pitch black. So Ben and the other guys, they take out their phones and they put on the flashlight. So while they're sprinting after them, after James, they try and keep a flashlight on him at all times so they can always kind of see where he's going. So James thankfully has been in this woods before, has been in this forest before, so he kind of knows the layout. However, James also kind of knows that if he trips once, he hits a root that he doesn't see because it's really dark, because a lot of this, sometimes, yeah, the flashlights are on him, but sometimes most of this, he's running through the dark. So if he hits a root and trips over, or he bumps into something, or he runs through a bush and he slows down because he's running through a freaking bush, that could honestly be GG, game over, well played, you know what I mean? So anyways, he keeps running, and he keeps sprinting, and at this point, he knows that he has some distance on them. And he also knows that the flashlights are no longer on him and haven't been on him for a second. So he keeps running with a lot of distance at this point, and eventually he sees a big bush, and it's super thick. It's a big thicket, a lot of trees are around it, so he makes the decision that he's going to jump in it and hide it out, which is pretty risky, but also it's pretty risky to keep running. So anyways, after about 30 seconds of being in the bush, he's as still as possible. He knows that no one saw him jump in, or he didn't think so. And he can see in the distance because it's pitch black. He can see 3 white dots, which are the camera lights, kind of moving far away in the distance. However, James starts to get a little bit nervous because those camera lights, they start to get a little closer, and then a little closer, and then a little closer, and they almost seem to be approaching him. So James at this point is do I get up and run? Do I get up and run? He's not certain if they see him or not. But if they see him and they're coming in, well, he's in the bush and he's deep in the bush. So they surround the bush. What is he going to do? Honestly, what is he going to do? So anyways, the lights come closer. They're basically on top of him. James just has to pray that they don't see him. And miraculously, they go right by him. James waits it out for half an hour. And half an hour at a point where it's I haven't seen the lights for half an hour. So after not seeing the lights for what he would think is a half an hour, because he didn't even dare check his phone, he eventually walks out of the bush. It's basically pitch black right now. But he's also super careful to walk this part. Because if he's running, he knows that, they might hear movement and they might go in his direction again. And he kind of lost this advantage. So at this point, there's a chance that they've gone back. There's a chance that they're walking around, or there's a chance that they're hiding out somewhere, waiting for him to fall into their trap. So James is walking, and he starts to get, you know how you start to get night vision after you've been in the dark for long enough? So now he's got enough night vision that he can kind of see around him. And that's when he looks through the distance, and he sees kind of a big, bright light. So at first he's scared that this light is their light and they're basically on top of him again. That's when he realizes it's too far up in the sky and it's a little bit too big and the color is slightly off. And that's when he realizes it's a street light. So James starts to make his way towards that light very carefully until eventually he breaks out. It's on a street. It's on a street of houses. Takes him a couple seconds, but then he exactly knows where he is. So at this point, he starts he's okay, I know where I am. Oh my God, I'm out of the woods. I don't see them around me. And he kind of looks around to make sure, because at this point, if they're coming after him, he'll see it a mile away. So he starts walking in the direction of his house. And he's worried. He's like, okay, do they know my address? And he starts thinking back. For a second, he's like, oh my God, they know my address. But then he realizes, no, I've never sent it to Ben. And maybe they found a way to get it, but who knows? So eventually, he gets back to his house. It's like 12 at night. And he just knocks. He rings the doorbell of his own house. And that's when the door opens up. And he's greeted by his mom. His mom's like, what happened?